Hello everybody and welcome back to Expert Examiner IELTS. My name is Glyn and in this video we have another writing check. We have another IELTS writing task 2 academic essay, and interestingly it's a repeat of a question that we've had recently on this channel, but still, as always, we start by looking at the question, analysing the question, picking out important things and thinking about our structure. So let's do this again. Some people believe that professionals, who? What kind of professionals? Well, professionals like doctors and engineers. So they should be required to work in the country where they did their training. So doctors and engineers. If a person trains to become a doctor or an engineer in Australia, some people believe that those people should have to work in Australia too. These people also believe that if a person trains to become a doctor or an engineer in the USA or in France or in Germany, then there should be a requirement. They should have to work as doctors and engineers in the USA, France, Germany. But there is a counter view to this. Others, so some people believe but others believe And what do others believe? Well, others believe that they, the professionals, should be free to work in another country if they wish. So those doctors and engineers, even if they train in France, they should have the freedom to move and work in Germany. Or if they train in India, they should have the freedom to move and work in Japan, for example. So those are two different opinions. And the task of the student here is to discuss both of these point of views and to give your own opinion. So the structure is pretty simple. The introduction, I want to know, I like background information about the subject. I also want to see some reference to the question, to the split, to the divide. Where should they work? That's the question, right? The key question here is where should they work? Or should they have a requirement to work in the country where they did the training, or should they be free to work in another country? So I want to see the candidate addressing this issue, this split, this divide in the introduction. I would also like to know the candidate's opinion in the introduction. I don't need to know why the candidate believes what they believe, but I would like to know their position. I'd like to see some thesis statement, like in this essay, I will discuss or I will explore, or this essay will cover blah, 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 blah. And I want to know the candidate's position in the introduction. But okay, so that will be the introduction. Body paragraph 1, these people, why do they believe this? Why do these people believe this? Body paragraph 2, why do these people believe this? Conclusion, what do you believe? Why? Maybe give a summary, give a short, snappy summary of the points that you've raised, and give your opinion. What is your own opinion? Put that in the conclusion. But okay, let's have a look at the candidate's writing. Let's see, first of all, if we have 4 paragraphs. Paragraph 1, cool. Paragraph 2, cool. Looks a little bit long, paragraph 2. It's more than twice as long as introduction. And then body paragraph 3 is shorter. So this feels already, without reading it, it feels a bit imbalanced. There's a lot about point 1, but the counterpoint is much shorter, and then a short snappy conclusion. This looks slightly long. I'd say it's over 300. Check the word count. 327. So I think, yeah, it's higher than, comfort. Minimum 250. 280 is what I consider to be like golden. I tried to go up to 300, a ceiling of 300. I don't want to write more than 300 words for this IELTS task, and I don't recommend that candidates should write more than 300 either. Will it be a huge problem? No. Is it impossible to get a band 9 if you write 327 words? No. But I think you should aim for, that golden zone between 280 and 300. Okay, let's see what the candidate gives in their introduction. Some individuals believe that professional doctors and engineers should work in the country where they completed their training. That's so close, isn't it? Yeah, we just have a couple. It's just a very mild paraphrase here. So we don't get this background information. We don't really, yeah, we just have a very blunt, very direct attempt at a paraphrase, but not really paraphrasing much, just paraphrasing, changing people for individuals, changing professionals such as doctors and engineers to professional doctors and engineers. Changing should be required to work to should work, but that isn't the same. It's similar, it's very close, but should be required to work and should work is a bit different. In the country where they did their training to in the country where they completed their training. So there's minimal paraphrase here. This isn't effective paraphrasing. And also notice that there is no comma between country where in the question. There is a comma between country where in the candidate's response. And this comma is a mistake. I know in many languages you should put a comma here because it's dividing clauses, but in English we don't do this. These are something called defining relative clauses, and for those defining relative clauses we don't use commas, but I am not here to talk and explain grammar, just to point out good points, bad points. So I'm a little bit dissatisfied with the paraphrasing attempt. Let's see what we get next. Okay, we get while others argue, instead of others believe, that they should be free, if they wish they can work in the... So this is poorly linked. They should be free, and if they wish, comma, they can work, or they should be able to work, or they should be allowed to work in a different country. So I don't know about this can. And they certainly need a comma here. So bad cohesion here, and also lacking that comma there. And also I'm not, actually, I'm not even... They should be free if they wish. And if they wish... Yeah, and if they wish, comma, they can. So a little bit confusing with the grammar and cohesion. I personally believe that professionals, doctors and engineers... Okay, now we're just repeating language. Not very skillfully done, just repeating language. I personally believe that professionals... we want some discourse marker here, or some cohesive device, some signposting language, like doctors and engineers, such as doctors and engineers. Because remember, the question doesn't say only doctors and engineers. They just mention that professionals, for example, doctors and engineers. I believe that professionals, comma, doctors and engineers should stay in their country and should help or treatments. So you're looking for the verb here. Treatment is a noun, but we want a verb. They should do what? They should help, or they should do what? They should treat their fellow citizens. So not the noun treatments, but we need the verb should treat. But not necessarily citizens. As I mentioned in the other candidate who wrote this task, you could be a person who was born, for example, in Bangladesh, and then you move to France to do your training, and then you might not be a citizen of France, but according to this rule where you have to stay in the country where you did your training, you'll be helping fellow residents, maybe other people in France, but not necessarily citizens. It's a minor point, but at super high academic level, maybe focus on that. But okay. So the next paragraph, I'm hoping to get this in this paragraph, I'm hoping to get an explanation of why some people believe that professionals such as doctors and engineers should be required to work in the country where they did their training. Will the candidate explain this? First and foremost, good signposting language. Signposting language helps us to understand where we are in a text. Professional doctors and engineers, again, there's a big focus on doctors and engineers, but okay. Create extraordinary relationships. So, no, we don't want this You're talking about relationships. That's the noun, relationships. And we don't say with relationships. Means one, right? I have a phone, one phone. I have, I don't know, a container of wipes. I have a case for my glasses. Means one. And so if you use relationships, you're saying one relationships, which is a contradiction. You cannot have one plus a plural, so that doesn't work. Also, extraordinary is actually one word. It's not extraordinary. It's made up of two words, but we write it as one word, not two. Okay, professional doctors and engineers create extraordinary relationships with others when they was trained. So you have present time here, create, and then you have was trained in the past. Present, they create when they was trained. So there's a problem with the sequence of tense here. And also we don't say they was in English, but we say they were. I was, you were, he was, she was, it was, we were, they were. They were. Additionally, good signposting language. It is their responsibility. They are talking about doctors and engineers, I guess. It is theirs, but this isn't an argument, by the way. Saying that professional doctors and engineers create extraordinary relationships with others, that isn't an argument, and it doesn't work as a topic sentence. From this topic sentence, I want to know, the main idea of this paragraph, the main idea of this argument. But okay, additionally, it is their responsibility to help their country people and try to do something for their nations. Okay, but connected to working, maybe. For instance, okay, good signposting language. Michael Madhursudan Dutt. This just feels far too specific. Are we going to really... That's not how academic arguments work. We don't just point to one poet who was a Bengali poet. We need a capital letter with Bengali. Its nationality. If we have English or Welsh or Scottish or Northern Irish or Spanish or German or Irish, we use that capital letter at the beginning. Who is a Bengali poet and playwright. Okay, but that's not a clause, right? We don't have a verb here. I mean, we have a verb was, but that's part of the embedded clause. Michael Madhursudan Dutt, who was a Bengali poet and playwright, comma, you need to continue that sentence. So this is only a fragment of a sentence. It isn't a full sentence. It's a fragment. And certainly in academic writing, we don't like fragments. So I'll just mark that red. After he finished his graduation, he went... Okay, that's what you could say, right? So you could say Madhursudan Dutt, who was a Bengali poet and playwright, went to the UK to become a poet after he finished his graduation. And then you would have a nicer sentence. And he wrote different types of English. English should be capitalized. Different types of English poem, just one. Well, they can't be different types of one. Different types of English poems. We know on this channel, one of the most common mistakes, language mistakes from students is mixing up singular and plural. And really, when the candidate cannot control singular and plural nouns, immediately, in terms of those language things, we're thinking, okay, it's not really going to be much higher than a 5. Okay, comma, but he was not satisfied with his job, full stop. Okay, so what? He wanted to do something for our nation. Whose nation is our nation? There's nothing in this essay that shows that you are from Bangladesh. So I don't know what you mean when you say our nation, because this text isn't written from the perspective of a Bangladeshi. There's no mention of that. And also, it's far too personal. For this reason, he returned to Bangladesh and wrote some famous Bangla, should be capitalized, poems, should be plural. Okay, where was he trained then? Okay, so he graduated in Bangladesh, then went to the UK, then came back to Bangladesh, and still now we remember him for his great job. Great job is not academic language. That's very like emotive, very informal. So, our professional doctor, just one? Doctors, professional doctors and engineers should do some extraordinary. So extraordinary is an adjective and it should be together. So we want, and also it is an attributive adjective in this context. Should do some extraordinary things for our nation. We can't just say do some extraordinary. After you do some, we need a noun. Do some extraordinary noun. But there is no noun here for our nation without thinking about their career and wages. This isn't an argument why people, professionals who train in one country should be required to work in that country. There is no argument here. However, if any professional doctor or engineer wants, because you're using the singular doctor or engineer, so he or she wants, you're missing that S, to go another country, to go other country, it should be to go to another country. So again, country requires another country for a better opportunity. So just missing an article. Okay, comma. We should have a comma here. We don't. We should not stop them. Okay, this is so confusing now. Because it seems like in this paragraph, you're talking about why they should stay in their country, why it's important to stay. But then right at the end, you say if they want to leave, we should not stop them, which is not the argument that they are making here. They are saying, yes, we should stop them from leaving. So you don't do a good job. There's no argument, first of all. There's no argument explaining this position. And also, you're not consistent, where you seem to be saying it's a good thing to stay in your nation, and then you say that we shouldn't stop them here. So I'm a bit confused with this. Anyway, likewise, this isn't a likewise essay. This is a discuss both these views, different points of view. So we want on the one hand, on the other hand. We don't want likewise. We should have a balance here. On the other hand is really what we want. But anyway, likewise, so faulty signposting. Some countries don't have, I don't think you should use contractions, the short forms in academic essays. I mean, it's okay. Nowadays, you do see it in academic journals and things like this, but in general, in academic writing, we don't use these contractions. Just some countries do not have good facilities for professional doctors and engineers because those countries are not developed. It doesn't seem, again, like an argument for why professionals should or shouldn't be required to work in the country where they did their training. So this isn't an argument. As a result, comma, should be a comma here. Some professionals want to settle other countries. Settle where? In other countries. So missing this preposition. In English, we use prepositions to show where. I am on my chair. I am at home. I am in my workroom. I am by my desk. And professionals want to settle where? In other countries, comma. Okay. Where they find more opportunity. Maybe more opportunities is better, but okay, you could use opportunities uncountable, I guess. More opportunity and career. Career is certainly a countable noun. I don't know more career. They find more opportunity and more career, or they find more opportunities and maybe a career. So this is a bit strange. Furthermore, good signposting language. Everyone should be one word. Everyone has their own choice. Cool, I like this use of their. Cool, and has, nice. Has their own choice. As well as they have their right. So this isn't how we use as well as, we don't use as well as like this. As well as having their rights, or as well as having the right to do what they want. Well, not everyone has the right to do what they want. That's just not true. Another think is, so it should be another thing is, and also the use of thing, it's very imprecise vocab. Another thing is, I might use it with my friends. You know, another matter is, or another issue is, something like this. Thing is too informal, and you don't even write thing, you write think. So, if they send money to their family who lived in their birth country, this country will be beneficial through economically. Yeah, I'm going to just put all of that in red. If they send money to their family who lived in the past, or if they send money to people who live. So they send, present, lived, past, not quite sure. This country will be beneficial through economically. That's what I would say is that's a variety of words put together, but not glued together by any grammar. So those words don't come together to form any meaning, unfortunately. In conclusion, good signposting language. It is clear that professionals have their right to do what they want. But it isn't, we're not trying to describe what the situation is. The question is what should be the situation? What is the right way to do it? Is it right that we make those people work in the countries where they did their training, or is it right that we give them the freedom? And we need to discuss that. And unfortunately, in your essay, you haven't discussed the reasons why some people think these professionals should stay, or reasons why some people think these professionals, should have to stay or should be allowed to move. Both decision, so both means two, and decision is singular here, so it should be both decisions. Had. Now, why had in the past? Well, suddenly we're talking about had, so I'm not sure. Had some pros for a nation, but in my opinion, comma would be nice here. Comma. In my opinion, professionals, especially doctors and engineers, should think about their nation and their citizens more than their career, more than career or their merits. More than their career, perhaps, or their merits. Not quite sure what you mean here. They should think about their nation more than their merits. Don't really know what that means. So, task response. Let's get into some scores. Task response, I probably want to say 4 for task response, simply because there are no arguments here. There is no discussion of the two sides. It's very tangential. It's kind of linked in a distant way, but there is no discussion of this question. No real arguments for, no real arguments against. Coherence and cohesion does drop in places. Some signposting language, but not always used effectively, like likewise. I like furthermore. I like first and foremost. I like additionally. I like the fact that there are 4 paragraphs. This, for instance, it's an attempt to give an example. I think the text does hold together well. It's off topic. There are some points where I get a bit confused, but in general, the logical flow from paragraph to paragraph is there to some extent, and the use of cohesive devices is there. There are some reference words which are more or less okay. So I think we can award 6 for coherence and cohesion for this. There are parts where coherence breaks down for a variety of reasons, but okay. Okay. Lexical resource. Vocab is decent. Task-specific language here, or topic-specific language. Treatments is the wrong part of speech. Citizens maybe isn't exactly right. There's a problem with extraordinary. It's written as 2 words. But, poet and playwright, okay, not really on topic, but it's fine. Opportunity, yeah, maybe not so many good bits of language. Good facilities, but that's just very generic. Yeah, so while I thought there were good instances of topic specific language, now I'm looking back through it, I don't really see, after his graduation, again, it's generic. It's not really good language connected to this topic. Okay, any less commonly known words? It is their responsibility, first and foremost. I think they may just about be enough. I think they may just about be enough for the 6, maybe. Grammatical range and accuracy, that one's easy, that's 5. There are some nice bits of grammar in there. I like the responsibility, it is their responsibility to do something. It's a nice, relatively complex structure. There are attempts at different types of sentences too. Just want to make sure that there are those different types of sentences. There were some conditionals in there, not accurately used. If they send money to their family who lived in their birth country, this country would be beneficial. So that's a complex sentence type, but not. Both decision had some pros and cons, especially doctors and engineers should think about their nation. Bit of a run-off sentence, but that's okay. Yeah, so a decent range of those sentences, but sentence types aren't really that important. When we see mistakes with present simple third person s, when the candidate cannot control between present time and past time, when the candidate cannot use commas in the right place. Some problems with punctuation, fine, but this task, I think the candidate's writing, the lack of punctuation is noticeable. It doesn't really stop the meaning that much, but it is noticeable. And also, the candidate can't control for singular nouns and plural nouns. And for me, that's a big red flag. And so I can't award higher than a 5 for that. So that means the candidate score overall is. The final score is 5.25, which of course we know comes down to a 5.0. And I think that's fair. I think it is, work of an intermediate. I think the candidate's language probably vocab is at upper intermediate, I would say. What advice would I give to the candidate? Well, first of all, you have to get that task response higher. You have to understand the question and what they want from you. At IELTS, we have a range of different questions. This one is a discuss both these views and give your own opinion. And so you have to set it up that way. And, the paragraph structure looks okay, but there isn't an argument here. I can't walk away and say, okay, I understand from this essay why some people believe that professionals like doctors and engineers should be required to work in the country where they did their training. I don't really know. I can't say what those arguments are. Or some people believe they should be free to work in another country. You just say, of course, people have the right to do what they want. But that's not an argument that says why they should be free. So there aren't arguments there. So the critical bit of advice, I'll give you 2 bits of advice. Number 1, try to understand what an argument is, either in your own language or in English, but understanding what it means to make an argument in academic writing or in any form of academia. What is an argument? What is support for an argument? Critical for IELTS writing task 2. And grammatical range and accuracy, you have to find these mistakes. Singular, plural, present time, past time. Third person s with present simple. you have to find those simple mistakes, and you might get up to a 6. So with a bit of work, candidate could get up to a 6, but I would be very, very surprised if the candidate gets higher than a 6 in their real test. I think 5.5 maybe, but yeah, we shall see. Anyway, I think I'll leave that there for now. So I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of the candidate's writing performance. A decent attempt, 5.0 intermediate. Most people, of course, when they're taking IELTS academic, they really want like a 6.0 or a 6.5 or sometimes a 7. So the candidate is a little short of this. But yeah, if you'd like your own writing check, or if you would like a practice speaking test with feedback, you can do this by joining my Telegram channel and requesting it there. Information on, or the link to my Telegram channel is in the description to this video, and the instructions of how to request or how to make an application for a speaking test or a writing check, all of that is in the Telegram channel too. But I'll leave it there for now. Have a wonderful day, evening, wherever you may be, and see you again. Bye bye.